Hello everybody, how you doing? Here we go. Look at this. Right, as is tradition, I will have a look down at your comments and see where you're all from. Welcome to Tea with a Druid. Hey, this is lovely. Lovely to be with you again. Hello. France, Belgium, Czech Republic, Italy, Shropshire. How was your walk? Is that me? Hello everybody, I hope you can hear me all right and you can see me. And everything's good. Foggy Boston, Florida. This is just amazing. Germany, Texas, Stafford, Coventry, just all... Oh, I can't keep up with them. They're all gone. Oh, Tipperary, Goring. Ah, where we go. Ursula's from Goring, just down the road from me again. St Lucia. This is just always remarkable when you see that. Sussex by the Sea, England. Yeah, well, that's where I'm from, Sussex by the Sea, England. But which bit? Well, okay, everybody. I am with you for Tea with the Druid tonight. It's just everyone's saying Greece, Michigan, Drizzly, South Wales, Canada, Illinois. Basically everywhere. Probably everywhere. Look at this. Lonnie, nice to see you, my friend. So, I am hosting Tea with the Druid tonight in Philip's absence, and there are bound to be a lot of you who have no idea who I am. And although I may look like it, I am not Albus Dumbledore. Although I'm trying to, get the look going. So I am Dave the Bard. I am the Order's Pendragon, and I am also the host of the Order's stop reading the comments. I am also the host of the Order's podcast, so you've probably heard my voice more than you've seen what I look like. So I joined the Order in 1994 and worked my way through the courses like everyone else and had the most beautiful time. Finished the Druid grade in 2003 and was initiated as the Pendragon of the Order in 2010. And as such, I have within my home this beautiful thing here. This is the Order's sword that was taken to gatherings and initiations at gatherings and the ceremonies on the Tor and at Stonehenge. And so to begin with, what I'd like to do is do the words of the Pendragon that I do to open up those gatherings. So as we are gathered here, all over the world, but on the internet, maybe you'd like to join me just so. So just shake off the day. I know it's Monday. Why do we do this on a Monday? Probably because it's Monday. Shake off the day and just... Let's take a long, slow breath together. A long, slow breath together with the earth beneath us. And a long, slow breath together with the sky above us. And a long, slow breath with the seas, the rivers and the lakes of your lands. Behold this, our Order's sword, drawn from the lake of still meditation and returned to it again. Ever sharp and ever with us should our lake be stilled. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so I have to confess something. I'm either going down with a cold or something like that, or, and I think this is more likely, me and Kerry went to a beautiful gardens in Sussex yesterday called Nyman's, and all of the the spring flowers were out. The air was sweet with pollen and nectar, and I could just have a really bad dose of hay fever. Either way, I've got a muzzy head, tickly nose, sore throat, all that kind of stuff. So I forgive me if I am slightly tonight. So what I'd like to talk to you about is, or talk with you about actually, because let's make this you've got the lurgy here. Well, I hope this isn't the lurgy. Nettle tea, is that good? I don't know. I've got a nice. So cheers, my friends. Tea with a Druid. I've got some tea here. So what I'd like to for us to talk about tonight is creativity, inspiration, where it comes from, what it is, what inspires us. And I guess to do that, I'd like to take you back to 1994, when I sent off for a introductory leaflet for the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids from a advert, tiny little advert in a magazine called Prediction. And when the leaflet of the order came through to me, I looked at it and I saw three things within it. I saw the words Bard, Ovate and Druid. And when I saw and read the word Bard, I think I kind of thought I knew what that was. Ovate, I had not got a clue at all. I had never heard the term. Druid, again, I kind of figured I knew what that signified. But when I saw that the order had 3 grades or 3 schools of Bard, Ovate and Druid within its membership, that was one of the things, and this cannot be overstated. It's the idea and the feeling of coming home, of finding your spiritual home. And I think if you felt that, and I think a lot of us on this path do, we are so blessed by that, really. And as I read the introductory leaflet, that's what I started to feel. I started to feel an old connection, something stirring within me that just thought, this could be it. This could be the path that I walk. And I sent off for the introductory package, and I found that the Bard was the emphasis on the arts, on music, on creativity, on poetry, on storytelling, but on creativity of all kinds. The traditions are the poet, the storyteller, the musician, but actually the Awen, that elusive, blessed, sacred, creative force that we just go fishing for. And every now and again we're lucky enough to just pull and reel something in, or we're lucky enough to stand in the flow of Awen and suddenly feel it flow not just around us but through us as well. That is, to me, what felt like coming home, and also what felt like it gave me such excitement. And I played the guitar at the time. I I was taught Irish folk music, and I knew a few Metallica numbers. But I wasn't necessarily, and I had written songs, but they were for a heavy metal band that I was in back in the 80s. So I hadn't really expressed the kind of acoustic stuff that I was taught for many, many years. And I think, when I went off to a summer camp in Sussex and I saw Andy Letcher play the pipes, and I met Ziggy there and she played the Celtic harp, and I saw the creative output of, and Arthur, you could hear him across the field, Arthur ZZ Birmingham, his voice pounding across the field. Again, I kind of realised that I had come home. And that's where I find the R went also when solving a problem creatively. Yes, absolutely. So what everything I say tonight obviously is going to be from my point of view, and I am a songwriter and I'm a musician, maybe a poet in my spare time, but that is where my inspiration is, how my inspiration is expressed. You may well express your inspiration in different ways. You know, you may have, you may be into poetry and writing and that kind of thing, or it may be in your cooking, or the way you bring up your kids, or the way you work, or the way you view the world, really. That one of the mistakes I think people make is that the Awen must be expressed in one of those kind of traditional bardic ways. Now, as a songwriter, as a poet myself, I think everyone has the ability to express themselves through words. And I would always encourage people to at least have a go. Even if you think to yourself, you could not do it at all. And there's a saying here that I got from a book I'm reading at the moment I like. Talent is the ability... Oh yes, here we go. Talent is the ability... Couldn't read my own writing. Talent is the ability to let ideas manifest themselves through you. All right? So I've often thought this when I'm writing a song. It's almost like I'm not writing the song. It's just like you're a vessel for creativity to flow. And I think personally that when you are in a creative space, when you're in that flow of Awen, it feels to me the closest I pretty much ever feel to the great big whatever it is. You know, whether or not you call that God, whether or not you call that the gods, whether or not you call that a specific deity, the energy of the universe, whatever it is that you call those forces of the divine, of the sacred, when I am sitting down with my guitar in my hand, or my bouzouki, or my mandolin, and I just put pen to paper on an empty page and start to just see what happens, it really feels like that's the closest I ever get to feeling oneness with that energy. I'm going to read some of your comments. I haven't done poetry since. Yeah, the definition of talent is true. I mean, a little bit of training does go a long way. If you know how to play a guitar, it does help. But, it does happen really. Is there a way to access it more readily? That is a great question. Okay, so can I do this? Where is it? Show, that one. There you go. John, there you go. I experienced the flow, but it happens so rarely. Is there any way to access it more readily? That is a great question. And I've found that there is, because like many people, I go through periods of emptiness, of like blocks, blockages, where when you've written 12 albums, you get to the point where you think, have I said everything that I want to say? Have I expressed all those things that I want to express about my spiritual path, about the way I view the world? Is there anything left to say? And of course there always is, but you can have those moments. And one of the things you can do, one of the things I do, is free write. And basically you just grab a notebook, and I find a pen and notebook works best. I have to say, you can type, but there's something about having to slow down enough to write longhand in words on paper that I think helps to bridge that potential gap between the inspiration and the expression. And basically you just think of a topic, or maybe you don't even think of a topic, you just free write. Another thing you can do, I find, that's very useful, is journaling. I write 3 pages every day. Doesn't matter if I get to page 1.5 and I've run out of things to say, I will literally write, I can't think of anything else to say at the moment. Maybe something else will turn up in a minute. Hey, what about yesterday? And I will just literally express 3 pages every single day in the morning. That's when I do it. And I think, when you do those kinds of free writing and without judgment, just let it go. Don't overthink it as well. That's the thing. We overthink. We can overthink beyond all recognition. But if you just allow it to happen and be free, that will really help. And what you can find is, if you think, all right, I want to write a song or a poem about sunrise, and literally just free write as much as you can, almost not letting your pen come off of the paper, on the ideas of what you feel about sunrises. Another way is to, and it was done for me, I've said this at my house concerts a few times, I was very, very strict on myself with my writing, and a songwriter who writes for a living, I said this to them. I said, I'm really, really strict on myself. Is there anything I can do? And he said, yes, give yourself 2 hours to write a shit song. And I said, what? And he said, yep, go on, just 2 hours to write a really rubbish song. Just write a rubbish song. And I thought, what are you talking about? Don't try and write a rubbish song. He said, oh, don't try and write a rubbish song, but be accepting of the fact that after 2 hours, it might be a rubbish song. And do you know what? After those 2 hours, it wasn't a rubbish song. It was a good song. It was good enough to put on my next album. And I think that kind of, the idea of play is really important to get the inspiration going. The first stage, I think, of any creativity is experimentation without judgment. And so you literally just play chords and sing nonsense over the top of it, or you just write words and you just do a mind map or something like that, and you just literally play. You engage the kid within you and just express and just play and experiment without judgment. And from that often comes the seeds of what will then become the poem, the song, the dish, if it's a recipe, that kind of thing. What else have we got here? Yeah. It is to encourage more. The more you try, I find, the harder it is to do anything with creativity. What you need to do is show up. Yeah. Stephen King, the writer, one of my favourite writers, the horror writer. He says to me, he says in one of his books that the way he does it is he makes an appointment with his muse. And he basically says to the muse, he says, look, I'm going to be sitting at my word processor tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'm going to be there. And I'm going to write rubbish until you turn up, And so he will write nonsense until suddenly he feels that flow start to happen. Hope that helps. Oh, good. I'm glad. I need another tea. Old throat. Becoming a writer, right? I've got 2 books here that I'd like to recommend if you are wanting to develop your creativity. Of course, one of the first things I'd recommend is start the Bardic course, because it's great. But also these 2 books. This one here, The Artist's Way, Julia Cameron. It's a great book. You can see how much I liked it. All these little bits of stuff sitting out the side. It's a 12-week course, and it is really, really grounding. It's quite. She is obviously a Christian. I'm not a Christian, but so she will use the word God. I have no problem reading through that to what I feel about that at all. That's absolutely fine. It's a really, really inspiring book, and a book that I think literally has just come out, and this is fantastic. is this book here. And it's called The Creative Act, A Way of Being. Yeah? And it's written by Rick Rubin. Now, Rick Rubin, if you're not familiar with the name, is a music producer who has produced, so many big bands. And it's not a how-to book. In fact, do you know what? I think I'm done with how-to books. I think I might be done with how-to books. If I don't know how to by now, I'm doing something wrong. Do you know what I mean? What I like is books that express how other people work, so you can study them and work with them. And this is a book of thoughts. In fact, that quote that I read earlier, talent is the ability to let ideas manifest themselves through you, comes from this book. So it's a book of ideas, and it is so good. So that's it. The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. It is a fantastic wood. I'll read you another one of the little seed thoughts that he's got in here. Art creates a profound connection between the artist and the audience. Through that connection, both can heal. When I play live to people and suddenly you just feel this movement happening between the performer and the audience. The performer sings the song, the audience sings back, the performer sings hard, and it just creates this vortex of energy that goes backwards and forwards. And if you can ride that as the audience and the performer, you have the most wonderful healing evening. So yes, that's what I think he means by that. How are we doing for time? Oh yes, okay. The Artist's Way is great. Yes, it is. I love these. You're getting so, don't just listen to me, read these comments, because there's some really wonderful suggestions in here. I guess I have been managing mainly in gardening photography, but what you said about raising the kids resonated with me. Yeah, absolutely. Creative ways of raising children. Wow. Wouldn't you want to be those kids, Yeah, that was a great night, just like in Glastonbury. Absolutely, it was fantastic. Okay, so I think the sources of inspiration as well. Let me give you a couple of examples of my songs. Again, if you don't know who I am, I write and record music and song, mainly pagan themed. And every song I write comes from this flow, that I have sat down and right, I'm going to write a song today, and I will sit there and nothing will come. But if I just start playing on a guitar and suddenly a little tune, maybe a little riff or just a flick off of the finger at a right moment, will just go, that's it, and you'll start to play and just sing over the top. I sing nonsense over the top. But that will get melody, and the melody will go, well, this melody, what does it remind me of? What does it move in me? How does it move me? What's trying to come through here? And then you go, this, I can feel this is a song about autumn or something like that. And suddenly maybe I will put down the guitar and I'll start to do the free writing that I spoke about earlier. Love your lyrics, so inspirational. Thank you. And so the inspiration, one of them, Noon of the Solstice. Some of you will know that song, The Noon of the Solstice. And the inspiration came from that song we were holding a solstice ceremony for a sunrise, and it was one of the it was one of the solstices where the sun actually did rise. Usually the sky just gets a slightly lighter shade of grey, but on this day you had the full sunrise, and when the first edge of that sun came over the horizon, it felt like, I can only say it felt like I was being watched and observed by a vast horned being, and I needed to express that feeling, and that resulted in the Noon of the Solstice. Green and Grey, some of you will know the song Green and Grey. Where that came from, I was watching a band called the Tannehill Weavers live, and they just played a song where it was a question and answer between two people. And I was sitting there thinking, that's a really fantastic, tool, a way of expressing a song. And then within a moment, I had the priest walking into the woods and finding the horn god within the woods at Beltane. And I thought, that's the conversation I want to express. That's the conversation that song is all about. And then, for instance, the Tomb of the King came about from a visit to the Newbury bypass demonstrations back in the day, and I saw these walkways that these people had created between trees so that they wouldn't touch the ground and be arrested. And I saw these pallets that they were sleeping in the trees, and I saw the dedication that these people had towards protecting these beings that were, totally defenseless against the chainsaw and the coming road. And I just thought, yes. And so I guess that song came from anger, from witnessing that. So I guess really, you never know when the Awen will strike. So I have a little, I have my phone with my, as a kind of memo beside my bed. Downstairs where I sit and drink my coffee in the morning, I have a little notepad. I have notepads everywhere, so that the moment you think, write it down, because you always think that you're going to remember, and you never do. If you don't write it down, you will never ever remember. What is there? Anything else? Oh yeah, if you are going to show people, one of the things that happens, of course, is once you record your song, or you do your painting, or you do your poem, or eventually you will want to show it to somebody, or let them hear your work. What I will say is that that's a big step for anybody, and just hold that work very, very lightly, because if the person turns around and says things and they give you a criticism that you don't like, it's very, very easy to get defensive. But actually, they are expressing an opinion, and everyone has an opinion. And if you feel that your work is good enough to play to somebody, and that person doesn't necessarily like it or get it, or it just doesn't work for them in some way, listen to what they're saying, because it may well be valid. There may be something in there that can be changed. But at the same time, if you come away from that and you think, no, it says everything I want it to say, and that's what I want this. That's the energy that I think you should hold with your art. I don't know if you can hear that. That's the harbour down there. Yeah, that's the energy that you should hold, because the art should be an expression of yourself. The worst thing I find, and sometimes I think anybody who writes or has an audience, if you like, who like their work, it can often be a problem to slip into the idea that you start writing for other people. That's a dangerous avenue to go down. The art should be an expression of yourself, and so long as you're happy with it, at the end of the day, that's what really counts, and hopefully other people will get that, and make it a very trusted friend for that first play. and also know when to walk away. Nothing is ever finished. Kerry said that there was an artist once who when he sold his art, it was like a contract that said, at any time he could walk into the person's house who bought the art and just sit there and just change bits of it as he thought that it wanted to be changed. But a song, a piece of art, a poetry is a moment, and moments always change. But leave it at that moment and know when to walk away when it's finished, because you can overwork, over edit very, very easily. Okay. Lovely. Okay. So I'm going to play you a little song to finish. I hope that's all right. And if I tell you what I'm going to do, I'm going to play you a little song. While I'm playing the song, if you haven't got a pen and paper nearby, grab a pen and paper while I'm playing the song. All right? If you all disappear, I know you're all going to get the song. By the way, Oscar is down here. He hasn't moved. Okay, so little song for you. It's nearly Beltane, isn't it? My shackled feet, they long to be free from this modern Rome. The ancient moors and the granite shores, they are calling me home. Sometimes the city is too much to bear. I hear a calling in my soul. The mother's waterways will take me where life has begun, under a Beltane sun. Cuckoo calls and the seed falls as the children play. Skylark sings to the swift on the wing in the bright clear day. Sometimes the city is too much to bear. I hear a calling in my soul. The mother's waterways will take me where life has begun, under a Beltane sun. Salmon swims and the diamond stream sings with the blackbird's song. Voice in the breeze, well, it whispers, please won't you sing along. Sometimes the city is too much to bear. I hear a calling in my soul. The mother's waterways will take me where life has begun, under a Beltane sun. Under a Beltane sun. Under a Beltane sun. Under a Beltane sun. Not long now. Thank you very much. Okay, so here's something we can do. A little bit of homework for you. I've asked you to get a pen and a bit of paper or a notebook. And in that pen and in that notebook, this is to help you with your creativity and to encourage a sense of play. And sometimes all you need is permission to do that. All right? So in that book, write down 10 things that you love to do. For some of you, that'll be easy. For me, it was quite hard. Particularly after the pandemic, I had to think back a bit and say, what did I used to like to do that I stopped doing? But basically, write down 10 things that you love to do, whether or not it's now or throughout your life, that you've really loved to do. And then choose one of the ones in that list that you have barely done for a long time and commit to doing it by the end of the month. Whatever it is that you love to do, treat yourself and go and do it or be it. Yeah? And that's your homework. So, my friends, enjoy that. It's been lovely to be with you on Tea with a Druid, and have a lovely rest of your week. Yeah, it did throw us off. Weird, isn't it? Okay. Well, thank you, my friends. I hope you enjoyed that. Oh, here's Oscar. You can just see his face having a scratch. Hello, mate. You all right? I will see you again. Loads of love. Bye-bye.